Ibrahim Traore has made a lot of enemies, very many enemies, especially in the West, led by France, who have been thrown out of the mines, who have been thrown out of the country that they have almost ruled even after independence. So he has a lot of enemies, and these enemies are powerful. Strategically, he needs a powerful, an equally powerful or an even more powerful ally than the French, or an ally whose military strength probably matches that one of the US, and that is none other than the Russians or the Chinese, and that is the direction to go.
And then just recently, the Burkinabe president assigned a certain contract for the nation of Burkina's gold to a Russian company.
On resources and the contracts given to the Russian companies or any other companies after the French were thrown out, the most important consideration or the most important factor will be how much are the Russians going to pay the Africans or the Burkinabes for their minerals or for whatever they exploit from there. We are told the French were paying them peanuts. Out of 200 euros, the French were paying maybe 20 or 30 euros for a kilogram of whatever they mined there, the various minerals they mined. I don't know whether it is cobalt or some other minerals, coltan or cobalt or this
uranium in Niger.
Yes, exactly. Now, if the Russians can pay more, if the Chinese can come in and pay more, even the South Africans need those minerals. If they can go in there and pay better than what the French were doing, and we assume that the French were probably just exploiting the resources without giving anything back. So better, it is better for the Burkinabes and for their governments and even for the Africans now that they can sell their minerals and their products at a better price than they used to.
For the last couple of weeks, there has been an online uproar against the US AFRICOM command, General Michael Langley, over his comments that the Burkinabe president, Captain Ibrahim Traore, has been using Burkina Faso's gold to protect himself and his regime. What is your take?
The Burkinabes have the right to protect themselves. They have the right to protect their president, Ibrahim Traore, and they also have the right to use their resources the way they want to use them. The Americans and the French and the Westerners have over centuries assumed that they have a bigger right to these resources than the Africans themselves. So now we are having some kind of revolutionary thought and revolutionary action that is changing things. I think that is what is making them angry. That is what is making them scared.
Should we, the African people, be afraid of these military leaders in that they came into power not through democratic processes but through coups?
Well, on democracy, I think majority of the people in Africa have realized that electoral democracy has failed. If democracy has not failed, then electoral democracy has failed. Terribly, that is. We are witnessing many countries moving from poor countries to middle-income countries and even to rich countries in Asia and other parts of the world without these cyclic electoral processes that happen every 5 years in our continent. So democracy in the name of elections has failed miserably, totally failed, and we don't need it anymore. We are not calling for dictatorship, but we now redefine democracy as better life. Democracy in terms of development. Democracy in terms of also building a heaven here on earth, just like the other countries have built a heaven for themselves on earth. But elections without development, elections without progress, elections without growth, and elections without a better life for Africans is almost useless. It is vanity. It is not going to help us at all.
And are you in support of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso's exit from ECOWAS and the formation of the Alliance of Sahel States, now that they have declared that they are going to protect themselves and form a confederation that will foster the interests of their people, not the rest of West Africans who are members of the ECOWAS?
Yeah, I would actually support the three states, because ECOWAS historically has failed. ECOWAS failed in Sierra Leone. They failed during the times of in Liberia, that is, and they failed in many other places in West Africa. ECOWAS, like the AU, is also a foreign-funded body. It does not depend on the members to finance it. So ECOWAS, if it is financed by the Americans or it is financed by the European Union or whoever else finds, then he calls the shots there. So whatever ECOWAS does, especially in terms of military intervention, it is always at the prodding of the Americans or the prodding of the French in West Africa or some other, paymaster who controls them.